Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this very important meeting. I'll do a little bit of housekeeping first. We're not expecting a fire alarm, but if we get one, please leave the room orderly and make your way to the car park at the nearest entrance, or nearest exit in actual fact, because you don't want to come in, you want to go out. Darryl, apologies, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. We have apologies from Councillors Brazil and Hawkins, and also from Councillor Cooper, who members will note is on the Teams link remotely. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We have a set of minutes to approve. Has everybody read them? And Councillor Birch?
Yes, in the at our last meeting, it was resolved that we would pursue Devon County Council for the Newton report. I think it would be helpful if I could perhaps report to members on the outcome of that resolution, if with your agreement.
Yeah, is that a correction of the minutes?
No.
No, well, we do the corrections first, and then we'll come to that one if we can. John, please.
So, Chairman, happy to move the minutes.
Thank you. Got a second there. All in favour of the minutes? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. It's clearly carried as drafted. Thank you.
Right. Do you come back to John now?
Yes.
John, we come back to you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Members will recall that at the last full council meeting, it was resolved that authority be given to officers to take whatever steps are necessary to ensure Devon County Council discloses the Newton report and any associated data and communications. I can report that following that meeting, there was correspondence between the chief executives of both authorities, which resulted in a meeting being held at Follerton on the 20th of October. At that meeting, the document in question, which is this, was handed over, and at the meeting it was explained, and I quote, "The Newton report was an interim report which contained inaccurate information and was built on assumptions which were inaccurate." At the meeting, this was explained in some detail, in that there was important data relating to people's services, which included adult social care, children's social care, and education. In the Newton report, it was produced on data provided by Devon County Council, but unfortunately did not include data from Torbay or Plymouth City Council. They were asked to provide the data, they failed to do that, and therefore the assumptions that were used in this report were found to make the report incorrect, and therefore that is why the report was not used by Devon County Council in its proposals in respect of reorganisation. I'd just make the point that the report that I've just referred to, the instructions were given to Newton in February of this year to prepare that report, and it was issued or published on the 3rd of June, and after it being published, it was found to be incorrect, inaccurate, and therefore was not used. And so we, as representatives of the council, accepted that was the case, and we've moved on.
Just a statement, Jim.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's just a statement. Thank you very much. Turn my microphone back on. With that, we move on to urgent business. No items have been raised. Item 3, there should not be a need to divide the agenda. And item 3 is declarations of interest, and I will ask David to come in on this one, please, and explain.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we've spoken on numerous occasions about the need for decisions to be taken on their individual merits, having regard to relevant matters and with an open mind. So I suspect there's very little I need to actually say about predetermination. In terms of the dual-hatted members, again, I'm aware we've discussed previously, and I know you've been advised in other places, but effectively you have a dispensation to speak and vote at this meeting. So if therefore you're able to play a full part, and even if you have voted elsewhere, then unless your mind is closed, you can still play a full part in the debate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is that all well understood? No, nothing else. So thank you. Right.
The members do need to declare their interests, though.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Is there any or are there other interests you need to declare at this point? Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Chairman. I declare that I am a Devon County Councillor and sit on the Cabinet at County Hall. But regarding today's proceedings, I am predisposed but not predetermined.
Thank you very much. Is there any other declarations?
Chairman.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to declare that I'm a Devon County Councillor and took part in the debate on their proposal, but can confirm that I'm not predetermined.
Thank you. Councillor Abbott.
Thank you. I echo my colleagues that I have been in this position as well, and I am interested in the debate which will come upon us.
Thank you. Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. I declare that I'm a county councillor too, and also I'm on the cabinet which took a decision last week, but I have an open mind towards what's happening today.
Thank you very much. Any other declarations? No. Thank you very much, everyone. So that seems to be quite clear. Business brought forward by the chairman. It's not really business, but I would like to extend a big thank you to the senior leader team and to the chief exec for the weeks they have put into the dedicated and time producing the report that will be put before you this afternoon. They visited towns and parishes all around the South Hams to listen to the residents' views on the LGR and use their input to help put together or respond and proposals that will be put before you this afternoon. Thank you. I move on now to public question time. I don't think that we have received any in accordance to adopted procedure of rules, so there's no public questions at this stage. Item 7. Now we move on to the afternoon's business, which is the DLG and I'll ask Councillor Thomas to introduce the paper, please.
Chairman, thank you. Members, good afternoon. An important moment in the life cycle of this council, the council that has a proud 50-year record of success in Devon. You will note that on page 6 of this very impressive document, there are a series of mug shots of 7 executive members, deputy leaders and leaders. And I raise that because I would not like anyone in this room or anyone listening online to be under any misapprehension. The 7 people that are on here, of which I am one, are mere signatories on your behalf as and when you choose to adopt this document, if indeed you do. The real work, of which there has been a Herculean effort, has been undertaken by the officer teams of those 7 councils, along with the officer team in Torbay, chief executives, directors, Section 151 officers, assistant directors, staff, and I think every single one of them ought to be commended for the incredible amount of work that they've put into this, whilst continuing, let's not forget, to carry on with the other all-important everyday stuff at the same time. And I don't think that we should underestimate the efforts that have gone in. So, you know, we are looking at a document which represents hundreds, if not thousands of hours of human endeavour, and one that I think we should rightly be proud of, along with our colleagues across the county in the various districts. Okay, so that said, and I think that should not be said enough, quite frankly, because that's so important. I think we can be proud of this document. I think those of you that have gone through it, which I'm sure is all of you, will know that what started as a very left field single page in a government white paper last December actually contained 6 fairly clear criteria, or so we thought at the time. Some of those criteria have remained clear, others less so. But the one thing I think we can be sure of is that this document speaks to those criteria. And I think that's a really important consideration for us this afternoon. So our plan sets out a new model for the governance of Devon. And it does so in some ways respecting the status quo, because you will be aware, of course, that there are currently 3 upper tiers within Devon, 2 unitary authorities and the county. And we are proposing a replacement of those 3 upper tiers with 3 unitaries. So in that regard, we are, one would argue, meeting expectations around staffing numbers and the like, in that we are effectively asking to replace 3 directors of adult services, 3 directors of children's services with a similar number. What we are actually doing, though, is we are rejigging the geography of the county in a manner that we feel best represents the needs of residents at a local level. And that, I think, is possibly, for me personally, the biggest and most important strength in this document, that it thinks about local levels and it thinks about local people and local need. Our ambitions are clear: to deliver localised, high-performing services with true accountability, to balance urban, rural and coastal opportunities for everyone, to reform and integrate public services, including a fit-for-future NHS, to drive place-based prosperity and innovation, to steward our natural capital and promote sustainable development, to empower communities and amplify local voices, to achieve efficiency, resilience and financial stability, and to strengthen community engagement and neighbourhood empowerment. So, as I said, we've rigorously assessed this. We've used external consultants to rigorously assess it against the government's 6 criteria. There's been extensive collaboration. We've gone out to our communities as much as we've ever done before, I would argue, in terms of consultation in a meaningful way. I'm grateful to councillors who've joined me on that journey, sometimes with me, sometimes without. But we have absolutely gone out to our communities, particularly those that are directly affected by other plans. But in general, we've gone across the district and we've asked what people think, and they've answered. And I think, you know, in that regard, yes, of course we could do more. We could always do more. But trying to break down the natural apathy that sits around government of all levels is a tricky thing to do. And the fact that we've gone some way to achieving that, I think we should be pleased with. So I don't think you need to hear more from me. You've heard plenty all the way through. All I would say that now is the time, I think, for us to be brave, for us to be bold, for us to say, let's create a system that's agile, that's inclusive, that's ready for the future, and let's believe in better for the South Hams. Members, I commend this document to you, and presently I will recommend some course of action as well. But for now, I'm happy to stop. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any questions, please? No questions? That sounds positive anyway. Can I now ask for this report to be seconded, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I move the report. And are we going to see recommendations on the screen? Yes, I move the report with recommendations on the screen, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Can I now have a seconder for that, please?
Yeah, second that, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Now we can debate, and that could be brought in by you, Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, so I'll start, if I may, please, by moving an amendment to the recommendations. We've taken that as have we? As standard. I have nothing to add at this stage, Chairman. I've introduced the report. I'm happy to listen to debate. I'll come in at the end, if I may.
Who would like to start a debate on this, please? Councillor Birch.
Thank you. As the leader mentioned, this is a historic decision that we're being asked to reach, and the proposal that's on the screen
is is that we're all acquainted with what is involved. But can I just reiterate what, in my view, are the benefits of the, if we can call it the 451 model? The benefits include a stronger local identity and representation. The 451 model will preserve clearer local identity. It will allow councillors to represent communities with more similar needs, and it will reduce perception of remote decision making. Furthermore, it is the 451 model will have a more responsive place-based decision making on matters such as planning, housing strategy, economic development, and transport priorities. The 451 model will also avoid us being the subject of a overlarge mega council. Large county unitaries such as Cornwall, North Yorkshire often face high organisational complexity, risk of bureaucracy, difficulty delivering consistent rural services, and perceived loss of community voice. The 451 model in Devon can strike a better balance between scale and agility. The 451 model has potential for a more nuanced financial management, such as more transparent financial accountability in each area, better control of local cost pressures, and opportunity to tailor fees, charges, and investment to local demographics. Also, it will produce a superior democratic engagement with resulting in more councillors overall, smaller wards, closer contact between residents and elected members, and a more diverse and accessible decision-making structure. It will also have the benefit of a more manageable transformation programme, and result in that will have the benefit of staged transformation, more realistic implementation plans, and a reduced big bang risk. Those are just some of the benefits that will arise from the 451 model. But the most important factor is what is best for those we represent. I firmly believe that the 451 recommendation before us provides the way forward and brings with it benefits and opportunities for our residents. And therefore, I have no doubt in supporting the recommendation on the screen. Thank you.
Councillor Birch. Councillor Hopwood.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, for those of you who have read this nearly 300-page document from cover to cover, you will see within it that it mentions residents again and again and again, because we were forced into this process just before Christmas last year, and told that we were going to be reorganised, told we weren't actually going to make the decision as to whether our plans were going to be accepted, and we were told that the plans had to be in by tomorrow. And I think there are three plans going in from Devon, but no one from Devon can pick the best plan. It's being picked by the government, so by some civil servant bureaucrats up in London. They will tell us what they think is best for our South Hams, and I think that's just a sad occasion. I'm glad to say that when South Hams went out to the residents with our document, we did consult, and we have consulted. We've been to towns and parishes. We've had a really good turnout, I feel. We've listened to what residents have got to say, because at the end of the day, as councillors, we are here to represent our residents. There were, as Councillor Thomas says, 6 criteria that needed to be met. The 6 criteria that the government gave us I think the most important criteria of those 6 was that whatever plans we put forward, we could not change any boundaries. And we have made sure that within that plan, we haven't changed boundaries and we are using the existing boundaries. We've made sure that our document has residents at the forefront of our thinking. They are the most important people to us, as well as at the same time thinking about the economics of how this new setup would work. And I think I don't particularly like change. I definitely don't like change if it's forced upon us. And we're being told that we've got to embrace a change that we haven't been part of. I'm just hoping that the change that the government choose for us is the right change for the residents of Devon. We need to take this document, run with it. We have no choice. 50 years ago was the last change, I believe, to local government, and here we are 50 years later, having to change again. Yes, as long as the right change is chosen, as I said before, we'll embrace it. We'll have to embrace it no matter what is thrust upon us. And do you know what? For the residents of Devon, we will embrace change and we will accept it at the end of the day, whether it's what we feel is right or wrong. So I will be supporting the recommendations because, as I've said several times over the last couple of minutes, the change has got our residents at the forefront, and our residents are why we are here. We are here to represent our residents, and we'll continue to do so no matter what happens to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hopgood. I think the feeling is mutual. Councillor Bonham.
Thank you very much, Chair. Appreciate a chance to speak on this important topic, and I want to echo the words of the leader to start with by endorsing the fact that, in my view, this is an excellent document, very thorough and very detailed and very well worked, and thanks to the officers and the team involved in putting this together. I think it's a great job in a short space of time, and I understand that's been there's been a great deal of involvement from our executive team, Andy, Lisa, Drew and others who have, as you said, Dan, put work into this, a lot of extra hours while keeping the wheels turning of this and other council and West Devon Council. So a great job, and also credit to the political team in bringing together all of the district councils in supporting one plan. And that's no mean feat. And I think there's strength in the document in that 7 councils, 7 districts have the same or very similar view about the best way forwards. So credit there to start with. I want to mention 2 important points as to why I will be supporting this 451 plan. Firstly, has already been mentioned, the plan meets, in my opinion, as best as possible, the government criteria, the 6 points that it needs to answer to meet the criteria they've set. And I won't dwell on all of them, but just a couple. Firstly, allowing a single tier of local government in sensible economic areas that do not disadvantage one part. And I think what we've got here with this proposal is balanced populations, balanced economic opportunities, balanced housing and growth potential, which are good for the residents, not only of South Hams, but for Devon overall. Delivering efficiency and savings, and I think we've got an ambitious plan which sets out savings around £500 million over a 10-year period, which is ambitious, but I think also realistic. And delivering service improvements, and I think we can see there's opportunity and need for service improvements across Devon. Some of the metrics are not ideal, not best in class, and this plan, I think, by making sensible changes in organisation structure, allows that to take place, and we can see some of the ambition in this document. rather than keeping the status quo. But the second point of why I support this has already been touched on, but I want to dwell a bit more on local input. And I think our 6,000 residents or thereabout who commented on their requirements for local government organisation mentioned 4 areas in particular. The public seem to want strong community involvement in democracy and a council that understands our area. So how do we deliver that together with the efficiencies that we want? Well, I think we need to make change that has a reasonable number of councillors so that we can maintain democratic representation as much as we possibly can. I think South Devon part of this proposal would have 83 councillors, fewer than now, but still a reasonable number. And it avoids having one big authority where local representation would be diluted. And the other thing that the public said they wanted was value for money services, better roads, transport, housing, etc. And I think, as I've already mentioned, this plan allows us to move in that direction. There needs to be a balance between efficiency and democracy. And I think overall this plan allows for decision-making close to local needs while having a critical mass and avoiding too much financial shock and disruption. So it's for those reasons I think it's a good proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rake.
Thank you, Chair. I'd certainly echo earlier comments about the amount of work that's gone into this, and thanks and congratulations to all those involved who've got this report ready to go to the Secretary of State this very evening. I think motorcycles standing by revving its engine in the car park. I think it's a serious piece of work and a very well thought out piece of work. And going back to first principles, I think that the local government, well, the clue's sort of in the name, needs to be as big as necessary, but as small as possible. And I think that this proposal hits that nail on the head. At the moment, we are in an environment where some of the main services provided by councils do require a certain amount of size in order to make them effective and of sufficient quality, but they need to remain anchored in their local communities. And I think that this is a very good stab at designing a series of councils, 3 councils, that all of which will be as big as necessary, but as small as possible. I think it would be the local distinctiveness in it, I hope, will encourage many colleagues to consider standing for the future council. I think that the sense that you're still representing your local area and not swallowed up into a greater blobby whole should encourage the high quality people that I've been pleased to get to know over the past 2 years in this chamber and their peers to pick up the baton and carry on running with it. So on that basis, I think that this proposal should be forwarded to the Secretary of State forthwith. Bring on the motorbike.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. And I apologise for my extended absences of late, which you can imagine have been down mainly to the fact there's been so many meetings around LGR to nearly drive us all crazy. I actually even had a complete immersal in it at the County Council Associate Network conference the weekend before last, and it's there were people there talking about unitaries that they'd already been formed and how they'd had the issues that they'd had, ones that were still ongoing, ones that had mayors, one that didn't have mayors. And the conclusion, all it did for me really was to confirm to me that I think the government has been absolutely hopeless with this and really doesn't understand how public services are delivered from local authorities. Because the reality is they've given us some criteria, but they haven't set out any kind of template for guidance to give even themselves an easier job. Because if they've got unitaries across the country, you know, from some of the very, very tiny ones to big, you know, fairly complex ones, it hardly makes their job any easier when they're coming to sort of doing fair funding. But then I have to say that I feel that a lot of the time at the moment, the current government is looking at its Labour voting support rather than actually its residents' real needs. And while there's a lot of talk about unpicking the austerity that we've had for the last 13 years or so, it hasn't really happened. And yesterday wasn't any great example of how we're going to, everything's suddenly going to be marvellous. And so I think for me, because I've been sort of looking at both sides of this from county and from district, it's been really interesting to have that real immersion. I'm really torn, absolutely torn, I have to say, because on the one hand, the opportunity to keep a fair amount of democratic representation, which this option offers, is really, really important. The other side of it is the more we unpick bigger authorities, the more we actually, albeit with smaller number of people being elected, the less disruption to services may ensue. And I think that's the dilemma in my heart, really, in my head as well, of which is the best way to go on this. If the government was offering us more money, I think we would have a much better opportunity to do what would be really the really best thing for our residents. But we're not being offered any more money, and any change is going to cost money. And I'll leave it at that, because I'm not going to say how I will or won't vote on this today. But whichever way I vote, I want you to be very aware that I've been watching what's been prepared here, really interested, and give huge congratulations to everybody that's been involved, because I know it's been a massive piece of work, and it's been a massive piece of work right across Devon to create all these different plans. And I just think the ultimate shame is that on the government, that they're going to take away the decision from us. If they'd said, you can make a decision, absolutely a decision, not just a recommendation, because they could just turn around and say, right, north, south, you know, that's it. And that wouldn't be an option we've had at any stage, actually. But I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I think they haven't been helpful. And so I don't really trust the decision that they're going to make will be the best one. So I just wish this proposal the best of luck as it goes forward. Thank you.
Councillor Abbott.
Thank you. I'm pleased to read this rational proposal. Change is a challenge, and boundaries are artificial, but the logic of 451 keeps the communities of Devon together whilst responding to the latest thoughts of local governance. As a district councillor for part of a town and part of a rural community, I am pleased to support this option, which proposes to keep the town in its rural setting. In addition, the proposal comes with opportunities to, clearly stated in this document, and I look forward to us as a town living and working in the Southern Devon Unitary Authority.
Thank you, Councillor Abbott. Councillor Eadie.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, I want to echo also the statements that have been made, the sentiments about the team that have put a lot of time and effort and resources into this, living it, dreaming it. Maybe that will come to an end, I don't know, after this. And it's a great example of collaborative working. Well, I didn't want to say that, but perhaps it is the case. It is a great example of collaborative working, seeing district councils across Devon working alongside each other to produce a combined document that represents shared knowledge, shared interests, and shared endeavours. And it represents the people who live in Devon to the best of our knowledge and experience. And maybe we wouldn't have chosen this last year in December, but whilst change hasn't happened in 50 years, well, maybe that is also not a good thing. And maybe change is something which we should embrace. And I think that's exactly what has been the spirit of the teams working behind this, recognising that information, that knowledge, that experience, such that this is change that we can support. This is the best option that we believe we can put our names to, and that's certainly something which I will be doing. And I think now, assuming that this does go ahead, that we will take this to our communities and make sure that they know about it. We sell it to them as best we possibly can. So when it comes to the decision that's made in, is it June next year, we can say, well, this is what we put forward, and with luck, maybe some degree of persuasion as well, this is what might be accepted. So I say thank you very much, and I support this.
Thank you very much. Is there any further questions? Councillor Hancock.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I mean, I would of course like to echo the words that everybody has said about the sterling work from the officer team in producing this document. It's a first-rate piece of work. It's a first-rate piece of work because fundamentally it's a positive document about Devon. It sets out a really clear vision for the county, and I won't go on too long because I think the points that colleagues have made so far, I completely agree with. But I think what hasn't been pulled out so far is this is a document about Devon. This isn't a document about South Hams and what is best for South Hams. This document is about what is best for residents across the county. It's not perfect for everybody, but nothing ever is. It's not, we haven't set out how do we make South Hams as strong as it can be. It's about residents across a huge area, and I think that's a credit to the collaboration that's gone on here between district councils that cover the almost, because not quite, of course, the entire county, and of course with contributions from Torbay as well. And I think that for me is what really stands out here, that we have a vision for all residents that's not leaving people behind. It's not about one-upmanship, and I will be supporting it today.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yardy.
So I'm going to speak from an unashamedly point of view to do with health. Devon has an ageing population. We are faced with growing inequalities, which include life expectancy differences and there's deprivation. The health systems are faced with financial challenges, and this is going to lead to a significant increase in health needs over the next 20 years. I'm glad to see that this proposal covers 97% of the area of Devon. That is a very positive. It doesn't leave the rural hinterland, the rump, behind. What it does do, it gives the opportunity to be able to support older adults to live well with disease. It supports public services in terms of alignment and closer services to the communities and is more joined up. It addresses rurality and access to those services and transportation, and it helps to pinpoint and address deprivation amidst affluence. What I see in this is it has an ability to be able to deliver outcomes which will benefit the wider public sector, and it will lead to reform of those public areas. So I feel that this overall as a proposal is the right way to proceed. It doesn't leave that many people behind, but it needs to make sure that as we move into the next stages, that we definitely make sure that we consult with those that deliver our healthcare, and we optimise and change the way that we deliver healthcare so that we can deliver the best for our residents locally and locally and within our communities. So I do actually agree with the way forward with this proposal, and will also be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Unfortunately, we're being forced to change when there are so many issues that should have a focus of attention, but we are where we are. My colleagues have sort of applauded the work that's gone into this, and I think anybody who has read this and looked at it and gone through it will know and understand the amount of time and energy that's gone in. So my thanks to all the officers and all the councillors, other councillors that have been involved in this. I think it is a superb document.
It is well considered. It's truly strategic. It's a proposal that includes all of Devon, as my other colleagues have said. It doesn't sort of carve bits off. It includes everybody. This meets the demands of the government for new structures. It maintains the local democratic connections. This proposal keeps and looks to maintain the services that residents need and want. As a council, we know and have shown what working together can achieve. And I think we have a template that we can work on and achieve that with this, with the Southern, the Northern and Plymouth as set out. It remains closer to our communities and we'll be able to respond to our residents accordingly. Going back to it, the final thing is it delivers for all residents across Devon. It's the right proposal. All we've got to hope is that the minister sees sense and doesn't have an aberration of some sort and not pick this. This is the most constructive proposal that's before the minister, and he needs to pick this one. This has my full support, and I hope that all members in this chamber will support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I think you're hitting a bit hard when you say sense. We'll move on. Councillor Pano.
Only a quick couple of comments. I've heard this described as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but or occasion. In my case, this is twice in a lifetime because, as a reporter in my, sorry, I'm old. I'm part of the ageing population that Councillor Yardy has referred to, and I'm pleased that he thinks this is going to be better for our care in the future. As a reporter, probably even then in my late 20s, I covered the last local government reorganisation locally. I used to report on Totnes and Plympton rural district councils. And as you can imagine, there was some resistance to their abolition and replacement by South Hams District Council. But I think we can say that the work of South Hams over the last 50 years has been a success. And I hope that whatever replaces us will be equally, if not more, successful. I think the key thing is that we keep the community, our communities, our towns and our rural communities at the heart of everything we do, and that in the future their needs and their wishes and aspirations are addressed and encouraged and cherished. I think the proposal before us is the best we have for the whole of Devon, and I endorse what the other members have said.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure you spoke for both of us then when you were talking about age. Is there any further questions, please? Not questions, but input. Right, good. Councillor Oram.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So I'd like to echo some of the sentiment been in the chamber already this afternoon. But I'd begin by thanking the leader and the chief executive and the rest of their team for the hard work and leadership in negotiating with our partners across Devon. And I wholeheartedly support this motion and its proposals as they clearly deliver the best outcome for our residents and our communities. However, I cannot hide my concern regarding Plymouth City Council's misguided attempt to absorb several South Hams parishes from the South West Devon constituency into their new authority. We know some areas will be drawn into Plymouth against our wishes, places like Woolwell perhaps, Sadler's Way, Greenhill Road, Sherford, amongst other places. Many of these locations are in practical terms Plymouth communities already, and aligning them administratively may well make sense. But the rest of the western side of South Hams should or would not benefit from a Plymouth-led administration. I recently read that Plymouth City Council's finances are in complete disarray, with Grant Thornton describing its budgeting as having significant weaknesses and its reliance on its reserves is not even sustainable. And residents in Western Wards should understand that our opposition to Plymouth's expansion is not only about protecting rural identity, but it's about protecting them from a struggling authority looking for a quick financial lifeline. Our communities do deserve better than to be pulled aboard a sinking ship. Far better to remain a part of a rural-focused, conscientious South Devon Council and to be absorbed into an opportunistic urban authority. So my message to Plymouth City Council and its Labour leadership is quite simple: hands off. You don't have the experience, the finances or the competency to support our rural communities and their unique challenges. But once again, I thank the leader, the chief executive and all the team for presenting a fantastic proposal that genuinely works for all of our residents, and I hope the Minister recognises the strength and the sense of it.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? No, any further input? I keep wanting to ask a question, but it's not questions. It's in the debate. Right.
Councillor Jackson.
Councillor Jackson.
I just want to quickly add, really thanks to Andy and the officers for the co-production they've done within the community to get this document in front of us here. And I've just seen at first hand how hard they've worked, again with town and parish councils and residents, and, you know, going out in the middle of winter to sort of town halls with not many people sort of being involved. And I just think it's really impressive. And so I thank them for doing all this hard work and presenting it to us today. And for all of us for tolerating the uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen. Thank you.
Very much. Any further input into this paper? If not, we'll move back to the leader, please.
Chairman, thank you. Okay, a few things to sum up. You're absolutely right, members, we didn't ask. But we've responded. And in responding, we've put together what we think is the strongest bid for our people, but as Councillor Hancock points out, for the people of Devon as a whole. And that's really important. You can't ask us to do more than that. That's what the government have asked for. That's what we have provided. There's no message for anyone else. The message is about our plan. The message is that our plan is the right plan. Other people can do whatever they like. We know the strength of our plan is what will stand up. We can't influence anyone else. There's no point in trying. All we can do is work really hard for what we think is right for our people. And that's what we've done. That's what we'll continue to do, because that's the other thing. Councillors, this isn't the end. It's absolutely not the end. This is the end of the beginning. All these bids will now go off to the government. I hope they have a thoroughly miserable Christmas going through them, quite frankly. And then sometime in the new year, they will decide which ones have met their rules. They will be consulted on. And that's when our jobs will really begin. And that's when, but then it will be our job to accentuate the positives of what we're trying to do. I don't want us to be a council. We're not going to be a council that talks trash about other plans, because there are councillors in every single community in this county who are genuinely doing what they think is right for their communities. We are perfectly entitled not to agree with them, but we're not going to talk them down. We have a good plan here. We have a plan that we can be proud of. I commend it to all of you. I commend the recommendations to you, and I hope, irrespective of where you sit, where you attend, where you may have voted previously, I urge you, let's send this unanimously to the government for the government to consider, along with any other plan they want to consider that meets the rules. But let's be positive about this, because it's been a positive process, and let's keep it that way. I commend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We all agree with that. It's excellent. Thank you very much. Right, I think now we can move on to the vote, if we may, and you've got the motion on the board in front of you. So all in favour of accepting and backing this proposal?
That's 26 in favour, thank you, Chair.
Against?
With none against.
Abstentions?
With one abstention. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So that motion is obviously passed. Thank you all very much, because I think that's most important that this did go through, because the work that's gone into it and the thought that's gone into looking after our residents, and that is very important, I think. And thank you all again for everything you've done on that one. Thank you. We can then drop. We can now drop back into important things. No, nothing more important than what we've just done. Right, we got report from bodies. Licensing Committee, 4th of September 25. Councillor Oram.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to present the minutes from the Licensing Committee on said date for noting.
Very much so noted. Development Management, 11th of September and the 2nd of October. Councillor Long to present.
Chairman, I'd like to present the minutes of the DM Committee for the 11th of September and the 2nd of October for noting. Thank you, Chairman.
So noted. Executive, 23rd of October. Councillor Thomas, please, again.
Thank you, Chairman. I present the minutes of the executive held on the 23rd of October 2025, but this is not just for noting, because at page 200 of your report pack, you will find there are recommendations to council around the local council tax reduction scheme, which I am happy to propose from the chair.
Second.
That's proposed by Councillor Thomas and seconded by Councillor Hopwood. You all in favour of that? Yeah. Said yeah before it was even there. Thank you very much.
That's clearly carried. Thank you, Chair.
Got questions on notice? No questions received. Motions on notice? No motions received. Then it comes back to me to thank you all very much for your attendance and for the way that you've actually debated the paper this afternoon. And I think it's been excellent. And thank you all very, very much. And if you just sit tight for a minute when we come off air, and then I will. But at the moment, I will close this meeting. Thank you very much indeed.